is to work, and everybody is a jerk because they all hate their lives. And I. Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover Warren 20 here, and today I'm going to be listing all the worst movies I ever had to review. So yeah, some of these movies I do own, some of them I don't. But if I don't own the movie, I'm just going to talk about it and not show the DVD case because I don't own it. But if I do own the movie, then I'll show the DVD case. And 5 of these are going to have DVDs shown for them. And one of them is going to be a movie from an infamously hated director. And 2 movies on this list, yes, 2 of them are going to be films that star an infamously nominated actor who's been memed all over the internet. But anyway, let's get started. So, at number 7, VHS, Viral. Now, I love the first 2 VHS movies, the first one the most because besides this record, they're the only found footage films that actually come close to actually scaring me because I'm not a fan of found footage films, but when it comes to actually terrifying me, record and VHS actually do the trick with their stuff because they don't rely on the same stuff over and over again. They're actually realistic with their scares. Well, first one's realistic with its scares, mostly. But this movie should not be called VHS because it's not even VHS tapes. It's literally viral streaming videos this time around. So why is it even called VHS? And it even has nothing to do with the first 2 at all. Plus, none of the tapes are scary at all. Screw this movie. It sucks. Avoid it. And then, number 6 would have to be Ghost Rider, the second one, Spirit of Vengeance. To be fair, I didn't really like the first Ghost Rider either, but that movie at least knows what it is trying to be. So because at least that one actually tried to adapt to the comics, so I'll give it praise for that. But this movie, on the other hand, basically has nothing to do with the comic whatsoever, has nothing to do with the character, and barely even acts like a Marvel film. And what's so sad about this is from the directors of Crank, which I love. That's one of my favorite action movies of the 2000s, but this is just Crank set in the Marvel world, and obviously the film everyone thought Crank would be. And seriously, this is a lesson. What worked in Crank, you two, yeah, Neville Dean and Taylor, isn't going to work in Marvel. Yeah, so basically, it has nothing to do with the comic. This movie's like, no, screw the comic, screw the fans of Ghost Rider. Our version of Ghost Rider's better. Kind of like Ghost AVP Requiem, except not all rated R and still PG-13, except cause one. Much like AVP Requiem, this is a sequel that's even worse than an already bad first film. So yeah, it's like, no, screw it. This version of Ghost Rider is better. You all can go screw yourselves. That's what it goes like. And number 5 would have to be Rec 3 Genesis. Same problems as VHS Viral. Like, I'll reiterate, first 2 were actually really scary films. First one's one of the scariest movies I've ever watched and the only scary found footage movie I've ever watched. Rec 2, not as good as the first one, but still has some good scares nonetheless and kind of goes a more action route. Rec 3 is like, no, we're gonna screw the found footage crap, we're gonna abandon that, we're gonna go the comedic chainsaw route, we're gonna go a wedding route now. Like, no, we're outbreak at a wedding, we're gonna not even connect to the first 2 at all. Like, let's just throw in a bunch of gore and just shock factor and just try to make it all funny. Something Rec was not. Record was not a comedy franchise. This movie is an absolute disgrace and an insult to Record. Please avoid it, much like with VHS Viral. Those 2 third installments are absolute insults to good found footage films. Much like VHS Viral, avoid this movie with a burning passion. Number 4 would have to be... Okay, but... number 4. Megan is Missing. Yeah. Just absolute dog crap. Like, there's stupid idiots on TikTok are going, "Oh my god, this is the scariest movie I ever watched." Even the director says it's the scariest movie he's ever watched. Pfft, what an entitled director he is. Yeah. Once, apparently it went viral on TikTok during 2020, and I was requested to watch it, which so I did, so that I could review it since it was apparently so popular that month. And it was not even scary at all. When the scary pictures popped on, I was like, I've seen better. Seriously. If these kids on TikTok want something actually terrifying for found footage films, watch Record or VHS, or heck, if they want something that's somewhat better with what it tries to exploit, they should just go watch Last House on the Left, which is actually a good film. But yeah, honestly, it's poorly made, it's poorly edited, it's poorly lit. Avoid it. Number 3. Whatever. Next up. This is for an Uwe Boll film. Seed. Much like with all of Uwe Boll films, they suck. Sure. Okay, I'll explain why it sucks. 1, they try to be like, the beginning has this disturbing, I mean not in a good way, guys. I mean disturbing real PETA animal abuse footage where they beat up and torture a bunch of dogs. In the first few minutes, they basically tried to be like Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, Uwe Boll thought he'd be making the next Cannibal Holocaust or something, or probably thought he was making, at the time, well, technically this came out before this movie came out, he thought he was trying to be like the movie Human Centipede, and Human Centipede 2. Okay, I get those movies came out way before this movie even released, but still. Like, I don't know. Just avoid it like the rest of Uwe Boll's films. Number 3 would have to be... no, not the bees! Not the bees! Oh, my eyes! My eyes! The Wicker Man. Once again, another Nicolas Cage movie. Now, the original Wicker Man, released in 1973, is one of the best cult horror films ever. It's a masterpiece, it's got a great performance from Christopher Lee, so of course, America went and they remade it. And they just made it shit. Like, really, really shit. The whole movie is so unintentionally funny. Nothing is even scary in this film at all. Like this whole movie just feels like a comedy. It has no relation with the original at all. All it is just Nicolas Cage punching islanders, beating them up throughout the whole film. It's actually kind of a fun watch. Fun watch as a drinking game. But as a remake, it is terrible garbage. And it's probably the worst remake ever made. So yeah, just watch the original. Avoid this piece of crap like the plague. And number 2. Ooh. Captivity, or Craptivity, as it's better off being called, because it's crap. It's just a stupid Hostel knockoff. They just wanted to cash in on Hostel. The only memorable thing about Craptivity was the bull boards. And the horror production it had, because you can tell there's so many reshoots, because her hair, the main protagonist's hair, is all straight in one, and then shaggy and messy in another. Yeah, you can tell it was so obvious that they reshot so many stuff, or added in so many stuff at the last minute. Please avoid it, and just go watch Saw or Hostel if you want a better version of this film. And now, the all-time number 1 worst movie I've ever reviewed. And this is for a Warner Brothers film released in the early 2000s. Fear.com. Did I say anything more about this film? It's a boring premise. It's another stupid, lazy attempt at cashing in on The Ring. Tries too hard to be like David Fincher. Has probably some of the worst lighting I've ever seen. Yes, even worse than AVP Requiem's lighting. I mean, has such a boring premise. Absolutely not one scary thing even happens or disturbing thing happens at all, but in short, guys, it's a terrible horror movie. It's boring. It sucks. Avoid it. Yeah, and that's pretty much all for the worst movies I've ever reviewed. So, you should avoid these movies. These movies should be banned forever. So if you're looking to have a crap horror night, go ahead and watch these movies, or if you just want a comic book movie, if you're a comic book movie fan, that just pisses you off, go watch Spirit of Vengeance. Until then, guys, that'll be it for this video. Thank y'all for watching, and if you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Movie Lover 120.